Good afternoon, everyone. Tuesday, September 14th, here we are for our Board of Education meeting for LBUSD. I'm going to ask our student board member, Jamie Baluyot, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is so awesome to have a student board member here with us today. How about a big round of applause for our student board member? So, let's get to it. We welcome those that are here for the purposes of addressing the board at the proper time and in the order of their request. I got a new mask today. I'm trying to adjust it here. If you wish to speak during the meeting, please fill out a form indicating your name and the agenda item you wish to address. You may also make a request to give testimony on an item not listed on discussion today. However, full discussion on any items not listed on the agenda will have to be delayed in such a time as the item can be publicly posted in advance as a regular agenda item. If you wish to ask questions, please address them to the chair and not to the individual members of the board or staff. In closed session today, the board made the following reportable actions. In case CV 19-1139, the board voted unanimously to seek appellate review of a decision in CV 19-1139, granting partial summary judgment regarding the cleanup obligations of the Santa Catalina Island Company and the City of Avalon. All 5 members participated in the vote. In case 2021010505, the board voted unanimously to approve an attorney's fees and costs agreement, the terms of which provide for consideration and a release of claims. Again, all 5 members participated in the roll call vote. So, moving right into our agenda for today, public hearing, we have none. Call for agenda items for separate action, adoption of the agenda as posted. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Discussion? Okay, we're going to be doing roll call votes. Why don't I go from my left to right for the rest of the evening. We'll start off with Mr. Otto. Your vote.
Aye.
Ms. Craighead.
Aye.
Ms. Kerr.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes unanimously, 5-0. Approval of minutes.
Move approval. Second.
Discussion? Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead.
Aye.
Ms. Kerr.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that also passes 5-0. And one of the coolest things we have going on tonight, our student school board member here from Sato Academy. Jamie, why don't you kick us off and set the tone for tonight's, no pressure, Board of Education meeting. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, parents, students, and community. My name is Jamie Baluyot. I'm currently a senior at Sato Academy of Math and Science and the ASB president for the 2021 to 2022 school year. It's an honor to be here, and I can't wait to share some great news about Sato with you. As we all know, the past year has been a challenge for students, teachers, staff, and parents as a result of the pandemic. However, throughout the learning process, Sato teachers and staff have undoubtedly made the transition from in-person to online a smooth one, with their endless support, sympathy, and willing coordination. But being back to school, Sato staff and teachers have once again made the transition simple and comfortable. With a supply of hand sanitizers, disinfecting wipes, and such protocols, along with the consideration and cooperation of all members at Sato, keep our school clean and safe. However, at the end of the day, the transition of going back to school would not be possible without the commitment of one special staff member. I would like to thank our janitor, Cisco, for all the consistent hard work that he puts in order to keep our school a safe place to be every day. Even more, finally being back at school after a year and a half, our morning and afternoon drop-off traffic flow has gotten a little hectic, and I would especially like to thank our new security guard, Mr. Luna, and our principal, Ms. Coleman, for directing traffic and keeping all students safe throughout the process, and for families' cooperation for following protocol. Last year, although we were in the peak of the pandemic, our counselor, Mr. Mollywatt, and teachers and staff continued to encourage us to follow through with taking the SAT and preparing for college. Nearly 50% of the class of 2022 have taken the SAT, and many more are planning to take it later this year. For those 50%, including myself, we were able to successfully take the SAT following district and CDC guidelines. As for college, Mr. Mollywatt has continued and continues to reach out to different colleges and universities and related counselors and programs to get speakers and presentations for SADO juniors and seniors to learn about what steps they need to take in order to advance in the college process. Additionally, I'm proud to say that one of our seniors, Gwinnell Ceylon, has successfully made it to the International Leadership Conference for HOSA last year. This year, we are excited to be partnering with CSULB for their yoga study. All SADO students, but freshmen especially, are invited to work alongside our yoga instructor in CSULB's study about how yoga benefits students and their academics. Being a senior this year, I've watched SADO develop into the school it is now. I can only imagine the great things that the staff and upcoming classes will organize. As for me and my classmates, SADO has done and continues to do so much in preparation for life after high school and the real world. Since freshman year, our 4 core SADO student outcomes have been implemented into the work we produce and essentially our everyday lives. Collaborative communicator, problem solver, creative innovator, and accomplished industry professional. These outcomes have enabled SADO students to display their professionalism, leadership, and advocacy in front of other professionals and the opportunities that our teachers have opened up for us. I can definitely say that without SADO, I wouldn't be the person I am today. The endless support from teachers and staff, the constant exposure that allow us to see and try new things in order to figure out what's next for us. And although we are such a small school, with our highest class being the current freshman class of 145 students, SADO has brought me out of my comfort zone. Coming into SADO, I was pretty shy, and I pictured myself only being a member of clubs and not being as active as I am now. Currently, I am the ASB and Red Cross president. I have held other leadership positions in other clubs, such as secretary and historian, and I'm here today speaking to a room full of professionals, something middle school me would have never expected. Although I inevitably have worries about my future, I can confidently say that they are good worries that come from SADO's exceeding ability to prepare me for my future. While I'm not sure of which major I plan to follow through with, I'm planning to utilize LBCC's College Promise for the first 2 years and plan to transfer over possibly to CSULB for nursing or UCI for pharmacy. Being part of ASB for 3 years, I get to plan events for our school and build up our school's culture. 3 weeks ago, we had our biggest event ever, Dragon Fest. Dragon Fest is our traditional welcome back to SADO or welcome to SADO for our incoming freshmen kind of event. We have gotten over 90% of our student population to attend, and with the hard work of my fellow ASB members, teachers and staff, and especially the students' participation, the event was a success. Just last week, we had our club rush. Many students have formed new clubs, such as music clubs, culture clubs, and we are even starting to form a volleyball and soccer team. Needless to say, our first 2 events of the year have been a success, and we only have so much in store for the future. Although SADO is still kind of new, academically, we have gotten our name out there, ranking 107 nationally, number 11 throughout all of California, and number 2 in the Long Beach district. All this was possible thanks to our SADO teachers and staff, period 2 tutorial time, and the diligence of all SADO students. As we continue to grow, Our school's culture has begun to grow as well. With the student spirits, all the events we plan, the clubs we have, and the closeness between the students and the staff. This is only Sato's 7th year. We have accomplished so much altogether and only have so much in store. Thank you, Sato, board, and community for this opportunity and for your time. Go Dragons!
That's a good way to start.
Thank you, Jamie. It's usually customary for us to ask you your plans after high school, but you just shared with us that you are a Long Beach Promise student,
Yes.
right? Looking forward to you joining LBCC and potentially, I would choose CSULB over UCI, but that's just me. Share something that you're most looking forward to this year, Jamie, with us, or something that you're really proud of right now.
Actually, I'm really proud of choosing Sato as my high school. I don't mean to like bring other high schools down, but in like 8th grade, I would hear that like Poly is a really good school because of the alumni and all the students and their accomplishments. So I was kind of like doubting Sato for a little bit. But then once I actually came to Sato, I realized that because it's a small school, it allows more opportunities for students and teachers to be closer. So it has opened up more opportunities for me, such as being here today. Thank you for that. And just like being more prepared for my pathway and my career in the future. So
Awesome. Thank you.
thank you.
Colleagues, any other questions or comments for our esteemed colleague here? Well, congratulations.
Thank
It's so
you.
good to have you here, Jamie, and it's a school night, so if you want to hang out with us, that's fine, but you're more than welcome
Sneak
to.
out.
Thank you
Sneak
for
out.
having
Yeah,
me.
Thank you. So we will move on to communications, student, staff, and school celebrations.
I didn't want you to s-
Hi, I'm Steve Swift. I'm the graphic design supervisor for the Long Beach Unified School District. I work here at Marketing and Media Services. I basically do graphic design for a great deal of the school district. I've been in graphic design for over 30 years, but I've worked at the Long Beach School District for 24 years this month. I'm visually motivated. When I see something I like, that could be anywhere from a flyer or an advertisement, a tag on new clothing. I collect that kind of stuff. But each one of those has a graphic element, and that's what's attracted me to it. It's absolutely fun to work here. The diversity of the jobs that I work on is amazing. I do brochures, business cards, flyers, posters, pamphlets, booklets, logos, mascots. So fun to do mascots. It is challenging at times, but I like that. One of the interesting aspects of working for the school district is some of the people I get to work with, the superintendent and the assistant superintendents. I've worked with teachers and with PTA. If I can do anything to make their job, I don't know, I'm making it easier, but I'm making it prettier, let's say. But it brings some meaning to my work, I feel, and that's probably one of the best things that I like about working here.
I think I spotted a Bob's Big Boy figurine there on a shelf. That was one of my favorite places for my birthday in elementary school. Bowl of spaghetti with a yellow American slice of cheese on it. I'm not plugging Bob's Big Boy, just fond memories, fond memories. That was great. Let's move on to public testimony on items listed on the agenda. Our first speaker, number 1, is Tonya Uranga. Hi, Tonya. You have 3 minutes. We just ask that you keep your mask on while you're speaking and that you address the chair and not any individual board members or staff.
Thank you. Tonya Reyes-Uranga, 90806. Thank you for, I know 3 families that have lost children to suicide. So thank you for looking at this serious issue. In 2013, the legislature passed AB 2246, a law that requires all public school districts and charter schools serving students in grades 7 to 12 to develop a suicide prevention policy by 2017. I'm glad to see that the district is developing policies and procedures for suicide prevention, intervention, and post-intervention for K-6 students. Unfortunately, the policy you are approving today and the policy you approved in August 2017 look the exact same way, almost word for word. Are you suggesting that the district's approach to a pressing issue, it's hard to breathe, is the same for a kindergartner as it is for a senior in high school? After looking at both policies, it appears that what is missing are comprehensive student surveys and performance measurements to ensure the policy works and that it is focusing on the right students. For example, do you have data that lets you know if the policy you approved in 2017 is resulting in less suicidal thoughts or behavior? Are you gathering any information on our students? The CDC monitors youth behavior and experiences among students across the country by conducting a yearly youth risk behavior survey. I understand that Long Beach Unified does not or has not participated in this survey. Well, we have our own health department here in the city of Long Beach. Does the district work with the Long Beach Health Department to survey our youth regarding risky behavior? The results can help us understand the factors and that contribute to the leading causes of illness and death among our youth. Youth Risk Behavior Survey looks at trends in suicide attempts and is reported by sex, race, ethnicity, and grade. You may also ask questions regarding bullying, academic pressure, family problems, and social media. But are you asking direct questions like, during the past 12 months, have you ever felt sad or hopeless? During the past 12 months, have you ever seriously considered attempted suicide? During the past 12 months, did you make a plan about how you would attempt suicide? Did you actually attempt suicide? It is no secret that untreated mental health conditions are among the leading causes of suicide, but school, home, substance abuse, violence, and social media settings are also unchecked situations that can lead to suicide. If we're not asking the right questions, then we don't know where the problems exist, and we can't target effective and relevant age-appropriate responses. This policy appears to be staff-centered and not student-centered. The real work to develop any policy and any procedures that will save lives has yet to be done. I hope you will take this life and death issue seriously and do the work to save our children, and perhaps look at what other school districts are doing in implementing meaningful and effective suicide prevention programs that are showing results and saving lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Tonya. Next speaker, number 2, is Kim Tabari. Hi, Kim. I would ask the same thing of you if you could just leave your mask on. You have 3 minutes, and please address your comments to the chair and not to any individual.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board members, Superintendent Baker, and staff. Many of you know me as Dr. Tabari and with lots of other hats, but today I'm here on behalf of the Long Beach Council PTA Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. The mission of the DEI Committee is to promote an enriching and supportive campus climate with a social, gender, and racial equity lens that allows all members of the LBUSD community to thrive and succeed. We collaborate with Long Beach PTA units to provide a comprehensive citywide approach, my glasses are fogging up, to diversity and inclusivity, access and equity, and empower students, parents, teachers, and staff to build diverse and inclusive school communities. My public comment is about the current status of school reopening and challenges with unvaccinated students and staff. We commend the district for the safety protocols put in place, such as masking, vaccination, ventilation, distancing, and testing. However, there are still concerns from parents across the city. One major concern is that there is not a lot of communication about whether or not, actually no communication about whether or not the district will continue weekly testing to protect thousands of students under the age of 12, as well as staff. A second concern is that there are different communication methods happening across the district depending on the school site. So information is unclear and causes additional stress to students and parents. So we recommend that the district consider these 3 things. 1, require masks to be worn indoors and outdoors, and streamline communications to parents about testing methodology and positive test protocols. 2, continue weekly testing for all unvaccinated staff and students through the end of the year. And 3, consider the bold move in alignment with our neighbors in LAUSD to mandate COVID-19 vaccines for all students 12 years and over. Let us continue to demonstrate that all students are valued in the district, and as multiracial leaders, you are using an equity lens when considering testing and vaccination efforts and how you communicate, especially with our most impacted Black and Brown families. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Kim. We will move on to public testimony on items not listed on the agenda. We'll start with number 1, Tanya Wanamaker. Hi, Tanya. You have 3 minutes to address the board. Please keep your mask on, and please address your comments to the chair of the board and to no individual member of the board or staff.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Tanya Wanamaker. I smell fear. And you know what the smell of fear looks like played out in humans? And I truly mean humans, not human beings. Because a human being who is being human acts from a space of consciousness, wisdom, anchored and rooted in something far greater and more powerful than our humanness. A human being acts from the steadiness of the unwavering truth within. A human being uses their brain rather than being used by it. And never does your being deny truth and comply from a place of scarcity and fear. That's cowardly and un-American. I forgive when a human acts only from their human side and forgets that they are more, a sovereign being that can think freely, act freely, and be free. I forgive them because humans are innately flawed, but we were also gifted grace. Humans create unnecessary damage when decisions are made separate and disconnected from their being, their grace, their truth. But truth does not hide for long and always resurfaces from the mud, no matter how deep and buried or ignored. For anyone who takes on oath at an office, I personally, by the universal godness within me, deny you the authority you've been granted by another flawed human. The only one that can truly grant you that is yourself, when you are consciously aware that above all you are a spiritual being having a human experience. Who is at the helm of you in this experience? Is it your human in a silo, your ego, your fear? Please remember who you are and stand up and reclaim yourself and cut the puppet strings that bind you to mandates that are nonsensical. If you are not showing up in your decisions without presence of your beingness, then you are an empty vessel without a soul, disconnected from the truth, living in constant fear. And fear smells like a fight, domination and control, such as thinking you are co-parenting with us and can violate my child. It smells like flight, micromanaging people and situations to avoid dealing with the discomfort of the real issue, or burying your head in the sand and minimizing the collateral damage because perhaps you have an escape plan, a financial deal on the side that makes it okay and justified for your good, not the higher good. It's weak leadership who share half-truths and withhold information to coerce and intimidate for your own agenda. It's using words like must and require when it's actually just a recommendation. It looks like freeze, where you shut down and avoid questions, providing robotic, not even human reply mantras, and disassociate you and making you look like a spaced out, you name it. And the ugliest of the fears is fawning, baby little deer, so scared, hiding and people-pleasing, a facade, going along with your boss and denying your own intuition in order to serve a blind order and hand over your power by deferring your brain to another. This is further reaching than decisions on masks, mandatory vaccinations, and quarantine. This is about truth and freedom. And when it's your turn on a topic that matters to you, the laws that govern this great country will no longer be there to protect you if the people like you comply with nonsensical mandates and abandon yourself as a sovereign being. These comments are not against you, they are for you. And if you don't lead with courage and open up
Thank you,
and wake
Tanya.
up,
Your time is up. Your 3 minutes are up.
then the
Thank
fall
you,
of our
Tanya.
freedom.
Your 3 minutes are up, Tanya. Thank you. Our next speaker is Xochitl Gonzalez, number 2. Xochitl Gonzalez, number 2. Xochitl, you have 3 minutes. We ask that you keep your mask on and that you address the chair of the board and not individuals on the board or on staff.
Okay. My name is Xochitl Gonzalez. I am a mom, and more recent, a friend to a lot of displeased parents, some of whom are outside and some watching online. Our Long Beach Parent Alliance is growing rapidly, and you will soon hear from them. I promise you that. We, the parents of Long Beach, have been asleep far too long, trusting that you have our best interest at heart. Sadly, that's the furthest from the truth. We know that now. Malfeasance, the performance by a public official of an act that is legally unjustified, harmful, I'm talking, please, or contrary to law. Wrongdoing, use, especially of an act in violation of the public's trust. I do not consent to your tyrannical totalitarian mandates, whereas you've exploited children's minds and hearts. Your participation in this council was found guilty by association. We will not forget this and know with certainty that we are growing in numbers rapidly. Liability for coercing participation in a medical experiment and any injury from it may be incalculable. I urge you to respect and uphold the rights of the children to refuse these EUA products such as the PCR testing mask and the COVID-19 shot, which by definition are experimental, and thus require the right to refuse. The shots in particular, Pfizer, BioNTech, is still under EUA emergency use authorization, not yet approved by the FDA. The conditionally approved COVID shot, Pfizer Comirnaty, is not even in stock yet, and the product insert has not even been disclosed yet. Malfeasance! Let that sink in. This board is not authorized to mandate new immunizations to the vaccine schedule. There is no law, no California law that grants individual schools and school districts the authority to add this gene therapy product to K-12 vaccine schedule. This product, Pfizer BioNTech, is not yet licensed or approved by the FDA and is considered investigational. Per FDA, an investigational drug can also be called an experimental drug. Federal laws explicitly prohibit a child from being enrolled in the clinical trial of an investigational or experimental product. It is unrefuted that these shots, especially Pfizer BioNTech, cause death, myocarditis, pericarditis, blood clots, and other life-threatening conditions that would otherwise not affect our children, not of this age. Requiring students in middle and high school to have this non-approved gene therapy COVID shot is unethical, unscientific. Long Beach Unified School District will be liable for any harm suffered as a result of making this vaccine mandatory. Just because someone took the vaccine and are okay doesn't mean that they will be later, or that it's okay to harm the next person. It is not okay to eliminate someone's freedom of choice. There's a principle of autonomy that says that no one under any circumstance at any time of their life should receive any pressure,
Thank you,
coercion, or threat of
Xochitl.
reprisal
Your 3
for
minutes
taking
are up.
an injection into
Thank
their
you very
body.
much. Your 3 minutes are up. Thank you, Xochitl. We heard you. Your 3 minutes are up. Our next speaker is Julian Stillwell, number 3. Julian Stillwell. Julian, hello. You have 3 minutes. We ask that you keep your mask on and that you address the chair of the board and not any individuals, either on the board or on staff. So you can start.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Julian Stillwell. I'm a 7th grader at Cubberley, and I'm 12 years old. I'm on Principal's Honor Roll. I have straight A's, and I'm on Student Council. I'm here today to tell you that wearing a mask all day is uncomfortable. It's hard to breathe and my ears hurt, and at times it's difficult to hear my teachers. I cannot read their mouths if I don't catch their words. I'm eligible for the vaccine. My family and I have opted not to get it for medical reasons. It is our right and our choice to make that decision. Please do not mandate the vaccine because I deserve to continue my education. Thank you for giving me the chance to use my voice and stand up for myself, as well as the other kids who are too afraid to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. Our next speaker is Katie Clark. She's number 4. Katie Clark. Katie.
Good evening.
You have
Hello.
3 minutes. Just to meet.
My name's
the clock
Andrea.
the clock hasn't started yet, Katie. Just want to repeat
Okay.
something for you. You have 3 minutes to address the board. We ask that you leave your mask on and that you address the board chair and not any individuals on the board or staff.
Okay.
Thank you. Go
Do I
ahead.
start? Okay.
Mhm.
My name's Andrea Diaz, and my child attends Lafayette Elementary.
Give me one
After
sec.
19 months,
Andrea, give me one sec. Did we not have number 4, James prepped? Okay,
that-
go ahead, Andrea. Go ahead.
Okay.
We stopped the clock. Go ahead.
Okay. After 19 months and mountains of data regarding COVID-19, we are sending our kids back to school with masks and discriminating between the vaccinated and unvaccinated, all the while knowing that at any moment our schools can be shut down again. Children have thankfully not been impacted by COVID health-wise, but have been worse. They've been impacted by the awful decisions being made by the boards like the one I'm speaking from of today. As a parent, I ask one simple thing. Show me the science and data backing up these decisions. None of you, including city officials and state officials, have been able to provide anything showing that what we're doing is preventing the spread of COVID. None of you has shown that what we are being asked to do our children is safe. Wearing a disgusting cloth mask or any type of masks for hours on end has not done anything to slow the spread of COVID-19, all at the expense of our children. It is abuse and it is child abuse. I'm here to tell you that I do not co-parent with any of you, and I do not co-parent with the government. It's my child, my choice. And it comes down to if I don't want to vaccinate him, I'm not going to do it, regardless of what any of you guys say. That's my child. You guys are not helping me pay the bills in the house. You guys didn't help me raise. You guys are not helping me raise him. So what the hell is this? I'm tired of this shit. And I'm sorry, but my son hasn't been going to school I'm going on for 3 weeks. What kind of shit is that? The superintendent came down to the office and what did you tell me? That he was not allowed to go to school. I asked you, give me a freaking document stating that because he refuses to wear a mask, he's not going to go in class. You threatened me to get arrested, didn't you? But guess what? The cops were there and they were on my side because they know damn well that what you guys are doing, it's illegal. A mandate is not the law. Do you guys hear that? I'm tired of this shit. Seriously, what the hell does this thing do anyways?
Andrea, we're
You guys
asking
wanna
you to
throw me
leave.
out? I don't care.
I
Drag me
asked
out.
you
I'm tired of this.
not to remove your mask.
My son hasn't been in class in 3 weeks.
Thank you, Andrea. We asked you not to remove your mask. We're going to ask you to remove
Okay,
yourself.
I don't care. Do it. You guys did it to my son. I'm sorry. Fuck all of y'all.
James, did we have Katie Clark available, number 4? Katie, we're going to ask you to leave your mask on. You have 3 minutes to address the board chair, not any individual on the board or staff.
Dear board members and Dr. Baker, my name is Katie Clark and I'm Mrs. Long Beach 2011. My daughter is the first Little Miss Long Beach. I was a Long Beach Millikan graduate. I'm actually on the cafeteria wall as the Golden Ram Winner Award. I was the most spirited and the most pro Long Beach person you could find, but not anymore. I'm speaking to you tonight to let you know that we stand against every vaccine mandate. Vaccine mandates violate fundamental human rights, notably the right to prior, free, and informed consent for medical interventions. In a free society, everyone should have a complete power and control over their own bodies. I urge you to do all in your power to ensure a return to the democratic principles on which this country, and I hope your Long Beach Unified School District, was found. It's time to end the use of COVID-19 as your pretext for governmental coercion to our students and mandates. The public is waking up and cascading negative impacts upon society from elected officials like you who are wielding unprecedented power over the citizens and our students of this country. As a parent, I urge you, and I tell you this now, I do not support any legislation or directive coercing people, my student, their student, or mandating medical interventions, including this vaccine. I do not support any legislation or directive requiring people to wear masks, and I do not support any legislation or directive that deprives people of the right to congregate and to learn daily without being quarantined under no medical decision by a doctor. I do not support any legislation where employers can enact coercive tactics to overrule a person's right to body autonomy. And that is you, Long Beach Unified. You have done that to your teachers, and I have plenty of stories to prove it. No healthy adult or child should be injured or die from a vaccine imposed by you, and your mandate on this, when and if it comes. And I hope that it never does. But we parents and students will be watching you. I have caught Poly High School already. They had to recall and negate something last week that was highly unconstitutional in their parent view, who somebody else on this board has also said on her Long Beach Unified School District video. So we're watching. I might not be a lawyer, but I'm a Long Beach graduate, and I will be fighting for every single one of our students. In the coming weeks, we do pray that you do the right thing. Not what Newsom, not what your union, not what your mayor told you to do. And we pray that you will keep the freedom and the true democracy of our country and lead our children to the next generation of that. In the words of John Adams, children should be educated and instructed in the principle of freedom. And we're watching you to do that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Katie. Our next speaker is Shiana Gerbitz, number 6. Number 6. Shiana, you have 3 minutes to address the board chair, not any individual on our board or staff, and we ask that you keep your mask on at all times.
My name is Shiana Gerbitz, and I'm a longtime resident in Long Beach, California, and a mother of 4. I refuse to comply with your discriminatory testing policies, mask policies, and vaccine surveys. I have been given no other option than the independent study program that was put together last minute, ran by unqualified teachers, while you guys sit here and contemplate firing qualified teachers who refuse the COVID vaccine or refuse your discriminatory testing policies. I should be at home cooking dinner, asking my kids how their day was at school. Instead, I'm here fighting for my kids to go back to school. I'm disappointed with the Long Beach School District's repetitive, evasive answers to 2 simple questions. Question 1, from the box, warning, this mask is not a respirator. This mask does not eliminate the risk of contracting any disease or infection. So why are we masking our children? Second question, if vaccinated students and staff can contract and spread COVID, why are we only testing unvaccinated students and staff? The repetitive, evasive answers I get from this district is we are following Long Beach Health Department recommendations to see what step to take next. The answers are simple. Masks are about compliance, not protection, according to the box they come in. And when it comes to transmission, there is no difference between vaccinated and unvaccinated students and staff. That's why you can't answer my questions. When you say the rules in place are for the safety of students and staff, that is a lie. If this is all about safety, you would supply and demand students and staff to wear N95 masks. And you would be testing all students and staff regardless of vaccination status. When you say we're only testing unvaccinated students and staff to see what steps to take next, it's clear what steps you plan to take next, based on recommendations using your non-comparable baseless data. Fact, Cornell University has a 95% vaccination rate, a mask mandate, and they have 5 times more COVID cases than this time last year. It is basic common knowledge that a vaccine protects the individual, not the people around them. Stop discriminating against unvaccinated students and staff. If Long Beach Unified School District even considers a COVID vaccine mandate for students and/or staff, myself and all these parents here, plus hundreds more, will fight it all the way. That's it.
Thank you, Shiana. Next, we have Leslie Mitchell, number 7. Leslie Mitchell, number 7. Leslie, you have 3 minutes to address the board chair, not any individual board member or staff, and we ask that you keep your mask on at all times.
Thank you. My name is Leslie Mitchell, and I have 3 children in LBUSD, each of whom are being segregated and quarantined based on arbitrary and discriminatory guidelines. These guidelines blatantly ignore up-to-date scientific data on how COVID-19 spreads among vaccinated students. These practices groom our community to accept this discrimination, using coercion and segregation to wear down our students and parents, dangling the hope of a return to normal. Rather than stay focused on what you've already implemented illegally, I'd like to focus on what I anticipate you implementing illegally. Long Beach Unified has followed Los Angeles Unified in their decision-making, and I'd like to get ahead of it by informing you, as well as our community, of the laws surrounding illegal vaccine mandates for students. Per the California Health and Safety Code 120335, COVID-19 vaccines do not appear on the list of required vaccinations required for children 12 and up to attend in-person learning. Even if the health department elected to add COVID-19 vaccine to the immunization schedule, the section requires that both medical and personal belief exemptions be allowed. Any unilateral COVID-19 mandate that LBUSD purports to impose on its students is illegal, unconstitutional, and invalid on its face, but particularly so without allowance for medical or personal belief exemptions. There is no California law that grants individual schools or school districts the authority to unilaterally require additional vaccines to the K through 12 immunization schedule in order for students to enjoy an in-person education. An education guaranteed to these students under Section 5, Article 9 of the California Constitution. In fact, no authority can mandate this procedure while it still falls under emergency use authorization, which these do. The Emergency Use Authorization Statute 21 U.S.C. 360 BBB-3 explicitly states that anyone to whom an EUA product is administered must be informed of 1, the option to accept or refuse administration of the product, and 2, the risks and benefits of it. When a product is not yet licensed or approved by the FDA, it is considered investigational. This investigational status does not change even if an EUA is granted. Per the FDA, an investigational drug can also be called an experimental drug. When an experimental drug is administered, it is the equivalent of entering the recipient into a clinical trial. Federal laws explicitly prohibit a child from being enrolled in the clinical trial of an experimental product. Are you following me? Without the parents' consent, they cannot be enrolled. LBUSD does not have the authority to mandate these vaccines. They're experimental. Only parents can decide if their child is part of an experiment. You are not my child's parent. My right to parent my child is protected by the Constitution, and my children's right to an education is protected as well. Your elected responsibility is to educate my children.
Thank you, Leslie. Your 3
Don't try
minutes
to
are up.
co-parent with me.
Thank you, Leslie. Next, we have speaker number 8, and it's Serena Sampson. Serena, you have 3 minutes to address the board. Please address the board chair and not any individual on the board or staff. And we ask that you keep your mask on at all times.
Okay. Hello, my name is Serena Sampson, and I'm here to finish what I had started speaking to you about the last time I was here. By implementing this mandate, you're potentially committing child abuse based on all the research that I provided you guys with a month ago. And you're also in violation of the OSHA laws potentially with the staff that are on our campus or on all the campuses. First of all, physical damage. The physical damage that can be done to children by the use of masks is a lack of oxygen. When they have a lack of oxygen in their blood, they suffer from things like headaches, shortness of breath, confusion, restlessness, cough, rapid breathing, slow heart rate, sweating, loss of consciousness, which would be very tragic, a weakened immune system. So essentially, by keeping kids with masks all day long, their immune system gets weakened, which actually makes them more susceptible to getting sick, which is counter to health. It also encourages the formation of cancer. So if someone has cancer, it can increase their cancer and make it worse, or it could put a situation where their body is encouraged to have cancer form, and that's due to a lack of oxygen, all of this. Repeated exposure, which would be on a daily basis with these kids in classes for long periods of time, And in some cases, I know on our campus, even though the law states, it's not a law, even though the district rule states that indoor only is where masks are required, kids are wearing them outside and teachers are yelling at them for taking their masks down, which they should be able to take them off when they're outside, and they should know that as well, because it's hot outside and this can cause a lot of problems. So a repeated exposure can cause an increased chances of heart attacks and strokes. The psychological damage that has been proven with scientific research is that it can create anxiety, depression, suicidal tendencies, lack of motivation to attend school, lack of facial expressions, which is impacting our learners. One of the things we focus on in the school district is our English language learners. They are going to suffer more than most likely any other student. In the mandatory training that you put all of the teachers through this summer, one of the things that they stated about was the importance of these students being able to see your facial expressions and read your lips. This is not able to happen, so our English language learners are suffering more than most, as well as our special needs children. And then on the note, so one last thing. So as a mandated reporter myself, this is kind of putting me in a bad situation because I'm now working in a system where I'm witnessing potential child abuse to our kids, and I have duties to deal with that. Moving on to the protocol for the vaccinate your kids or get them tested once a week. First of all, everyone that's here outside right now already is aware that if a child does not comply with the testing weekly, that there's nothing that the school district can do because you guys will lose money.
Thank you, Serena. Your 3 minutes are up.
Too bad I couldn't say all the...
The next speaker is Michael Bach. That's number 9, Michael Bach. Michael, you have 3 minutes to address the board chair, not any individual member of the board or staff, and we ask that you keep your mask on the whole time.
Thank you. Jill Baker, the first time we met, it was
Michael,
I
asked you please address your comments solely to the board chair and not to any other individual. Otherwise, I'm going to shut your mic down and ask you to leave. So please only address the board chair, no other individual on the team.
Who's the board chair?
Me, Juan Benitez.
Mr. Chairman, the first time I met Jill Baker was on my iMac. It didn't take me long before I realized she's not serving the kids of Long Beach well. She doesn't have my kids' best interest in mind. She's serving herself and the board, the union teachers, and the machine. That's what I was thinking first, and unfortunately, I was right. I have 3 boys, 2 in high school, 1 of first grade age. When the decision was made last year to not open our schools, my youngest boy left the kindergarten. He was supposed to my school, and he got into a private option. He did well. So this year, when you decided not to open up with these conditions, the first day of school, my youngest, he left his first grade and he left to the same private option. He's doing great. I'm concerned that the primary and only function of the board here is taking away, your focus on COVID and testing is taking away resources from my kids and my kids' education. It is holding our kids back. And worse, it's damaging them socially and academically for life. For 18 months, you have not been following the science. We all know that. I know that. You know that. Only testing the not vaccinated is stupid. On top of that, it's discriminatory and it's coercive. Please stick to education. Let me worry about my kids' health. That is not your business, it's my business. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. James, can we pause on the next speaker? Thank you, James. Our next speaker is number 10, Angela Kinsman. Angela, you have 3 minutes to address the board chair, not any individual on the board or our staff, and we ask that you keep your mask on during your comments.
I would like to start off by saying how grateful I am that schools are back in session full time. I know the amount of work it took to make this happen, and I know that you face massive challenges trying to consider the needs of all the families that are part of this district. But I'm here, humbly asking you to consider both sides to the current COVID safety requirements. I have an 8th grader that attends Newcomb Academy. About a week before school started, we were informed that unvaccinated children would have to go through weekly COVID testing. I reached out to Superintendent Baker, who stated that testing would be for the first 3 weeks of school, and then the need would be reassessed to see if any groups could be eliminated from testing. We are now in that 3rd week, and I ask that you adjust testing to be for those that may be showing symptoms only, regardless of vaccination status. Breakthrough cases are on the rise, and I don't believe unvaccinated children should be singled out, considering the virus is transmittable by those that are vaccinated just as much as those that are not. To my understanding, the middle school children are pulled out of PE and brought to the nurse's office where they self-administer a nasal swab test. How concerned are we with the results if kids are performing the tests themselves? And the even bigger problem is, this announces to all of their peers who is not vaccinated. I fear that we are edging more towards exclusion and segregation by drawing a line between those that are vaccinated and those that are not. Kids should be able to show up to school and have no concern about things like this. They should be able to learn freely, spend time with their friends, and just be kids. I mean, one of the agenda items of today's meeting is for suicide prevention. Obviously, the mental well-being of our children has become a much larger issue. I'm not here to say that COVID doesn't exist or that it hasn't had a huge impact on some families, but I believe that each child should be treated the same. I believe that the children should not feel the burden of the weight of this pandemic. And I believe that vaccination should be a choice left up to the parents while it is still in this experimental stage. Already, the efficacy of the vaccine is waning against emerging variants. I am not an anti-vaxxer, and if the vaccine did what we hoped and stopped the spread, I could see the need for it. The total COVID deaths in the 0 to 17 age range is only 0.1%, while they make up 22.5% of the population in California. I bring this up because my even bigger fear is that LBUSD will follow suit with LAUSD, who just last week decided that vaccinations would be a requirement to attend school in person, which would force me to make the decision between injecting my child with an experimental drug or subject him again to online schooling. When my son started middle school, he would check his grades daily to make sure he was getting all A's. Once the schools closed, this all turned around. He struggled to stay engaged and lost his motivation to succeed. His grades went from A's to C's, D's, and F's. This year, he is so excited to be back. He was even disappointed to have Labor Day off because he was enjoying being back at school. Please don't take that away from our children. Please consider the collateral damage this is causing. Please let our kids go back to being kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Next speaker is speaker number 11, Jacqueline Smith. Number 11, Jacqueline Smith. Jacqueline, you have 3 minutes to address the board chair, not any individual on the board or on staff, and we ask that you keep your mask on the entire time.
Okay. My name's Jacqueline. I'm the product of Long Beach Unified. I still live here. I have 3 siblings that currently attend, and I actually subbed for you until you began to let fear dictate your decisions. I hope you're all familiar with a case called Brown versus Board of Education. It passed in 1954. This ended the decades of racial segregation in schools, yet here we are in 2021, and it's trickling its way back into the system, except this time it's medical reasons. So first off, you ask for papers. As people heavily involved in education, you should be keenly aware of times in history when people were asked to show papers. It did not end well. For those who don't show those papers, they're told to stick a swab containing cancer-containing elements up their nose. This is an invasion of personal space, not to mention confusing, as we teach children in kindergarten not to put things in their nose. Those who refuse to comply to such nonsense are then pulled out of class. They're removed from educational time. They should be there to learn, yet they're asked about their personal medical information. By calling these students out, you are ostracizing them. You are pointing out in front of their peers their personal medical information. Think about the anxiety this creates. As educators, we work to discourage peer pressure, yet here you are as the authority threatening to continue to remove students from class when they refuse to disclose, again, personal medical information. You're asking minors this information. You're asking them about their insurance? In what world is this okay or make sense? You require proof of an experimental medication or testing of a virus with a nearly non-existent death rate for children. There's other more dangerous things. What are you doing to test AIDS? Lice? Nothing. Those things transmit a lot more quickly than COVID. There was an incident in Lakewood recently, and students only for one day had their backpacks checked. I'm pretty sure guns do a lot more damage than COVID ever has. Students have enough to stress about. They're worried about their classes, their friends, the tests they have next week. Now you're adding too much stress and causing them to worry about all this other nonsense. As a result of all that has happened since March of 2020, suicide in youth has skyrocketed. The protocols you've put into place have intensified that, and that blame is on your shoulders. I'll close with this truth. There is a God, none of you are him. So stop with the godlike complexes and start doing what you were voted to do, caring about the education of children.
Thank you, Jacqueline. That actually concludes our 30 minutes allocated for public comment on items not on an agenda. So that's our 30 minutes. James, that was 30 minutes. Yeah, that concludes our time for public comment on items not on the agenda. We will continue with the rest of our agenda. And as a matter of public record, just want to thank everyone that submitted public comment tonight. As always, we are listening. We will move on to the next item on our agenda, and that's a staff report. So we'll start with Disability History Week. Dr. Brown, should I offer a few comments and then pass it on to you? So in 2010, the California legislature actually declared the second week of October as Disability History Week. And this item comes to you really, I'm going to be very straightforward, by two community members that initially reached out to our district, two disability champions in our city, Cindy Soto and Nubia Flores Cedeño, reached out and shared, hey, California declared Disability History Week 11 years ago. Would our district be interested in doing something similar? And so when they approached our district, this came 2 years after our district approved an inclusion resolution. And right in the middle of our district equity leadership team working on an equity policy. So this is in alignment with our core values. It recognizes the amazing and wide range contributions of our of our disability community, when in fact, I'm going to be honest, our history has not done a good job of recognizing their contributions. Our society has not done a good job of celebrating the accomplishments of our disability community. And so, although I mentioned specifically Cindy Soto and Nubia Flores Cedeño, this is really part of a much broader community effort. And so it seemed natural for me to just make the connection with Dr. Brown, given all the work around equity and the intimate work with the CAC on putting our inclusion resolution together 2 years ago. So I'm just proud that they came to our district and that our district helped to advance the item that will be before us tonight. And so, Dr. Brown, if you want to kind of take us through this, I just wanted to thank all the community members that worked on this resolution, but in particular, Cindy Soto and Nubia Flores Cedeño for reaching out and really just bringing our attention to something that aligns to the values, the principles, and much of the work that our district is already doing in this area. Dr. Brown?
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. I'll add to your comments by adding that the idea of honoring Disability History Week was really born out of advocacy and partnership, and we benefit from both. So this is an example of where our community members have steered us toward doing better. And for years, we have recognized Disability Awareness Month. And tonight is really a recognition that purely recognizing and being aware of disabilities is not enough. We need to celebrate and honor the historical contributions of people with disabilities, some of whom we are proud enough to have sitting in the room with us this evening. So thank you so very much for using your voice to steer us towards work that we need to do, want to do, and should be doing. Dr. Benitez has said it already, but I will just echo, thank you, Cindy Soto, for being a warrior in our community for so many people and for being such a good example of strength and of advocacy for everyone, specifically students with disabilities. And I want to also specifically acknowledge, she won't want me to, but I'm going to acknowledge you, Nubia, and thank you for the way that you guide our community towards what's next, towards what's important, and just celebrating you today as a community advocate and as a mother of a child with a disability. So with that, we're going to let you, those who are here this evening, tell the story. We wanted to give an opportunity for those of you who have come to share your perspective around recognizing this policy and just for a few moments be able to give voice to your contribution in the work. Following your comments, we have a brief video by some local dignitaries who also wanted to weigh in support of this resolution. And then we're going to end with student voice. So we have a video where the students who are in the video actually read the resolution. So we'll end in the spirit of students. So Ms. Cindy Soto, who is the senior advocate at Cal Life Independent Living Center, is going to kick us off.
Oh, perfect. Oh, okay. That works a lot better, I think. A little too short for that.
Hi, Cindy.
Because of my mask. Yeah. Well, you can't see my face, but I'm right behind this piece of paper. And good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Soto, and I'm a child of the 60s. And at that time, students with disabilities were mostly segregated from other students. The elementary school that I attended was right next door to another elementary school for the neighborhood kids. And between the two schools was a chain link fence that, when you're in first, second, third grade, it appears to reach up into the heavens. And the segregation by this bigger-than-life fence had a profound effect on us and furthered our social exclusion and marginalization. This is just a snippet of my early school years. Disability history is much more than Helen Keller and FDR. We in fact have our own history makers right here, and one of them is right in the audience here. Nell Mechna was the first woman wheelchair user on the Long Beach Transit Board of Directors. And Jennifer Kamehameha, which is right over there, wave, Jennifer, no, anyway. She's a wheelchair user and has been a performer at Disneyland. And of course, we have our council member, Mary Zendejas. Lastly, I would like to thank Dr. Benitez, our board champion, who never wavered in his support, and of course, Dr. Brown and other staff for their contributions. As if you need one more thing to deal with, here you are, you followed through on the community's request for this resolution. Let's see, where am I with it? Okay. And a very special recognition to Nubia Flores for her hard work on this resolution, and it wouldn't have happened without her. Thank you very much.
Cindy, don't worry. We heard you loud and clear. Nothing can drown out that powerful, beautiful voice. We heard you.
Yes, Ms. McLean, if you'd like to speak from where you're sitting, we can bring the mic, whatever's most comfortable. Okay.
Hi, Dika. Mr. Itzen, is there any way that we can turn up the volume on the podium mic? Thank you so much, Chris.
I haven't been in front of a podium in a long time. Been self-quarantining. Good evening, LBUSD School Board. My name is Deacon McLean, LA County Commission on Disability Commissioner, former City of Long Beach Citizens Advisory Commission on Disabilities Chairperson, and Disability Rights California Board Member, just to name a few. Did you know Franklin Roosevelt, after polio, used a wheelchair? And his wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, said, Franklin's illness gave him strength and courage he had not had before. He had to think outside of the fundamentals of living and learn the greatness of all lessons. Infinite passion and never-ending perseverance. I can relate. Did you know John F. Kennedy had disc issues, which caused him chronic back pain? Did you know? I didn't know, but I know now, and I know you do too. Theodore Roosevelt was visually impaired. Did you know that? Not only was he visually impaired, there are many, let me go back. Theodore Roosevelt, former President of the United States, was visually impaired. There are so many more presidents that had disabilities, which I hope now you'll be able to learn more about and how they did.
I think we lost her there, Mr. Itzen, on the last sentence. Sorry, Dika.
No problem.
We're listening, though. There you go. You're back.
And in addition to all the advocates that you are hearing from tonight, did you know Tina Popo, another local community disability advocate who recently passed away? But we should continue to honor her many contributions to our city. And did you know that thanks to the support of the Black Panther Party, support during a 26-day sit-in by disability activists at the San Francisco Federal Building in 1977, We now have the 504 law that now contributes to assuring that all public students have access to a free and appropriate education. This is why it's important for students to learn the many contributions to American history and the civil rights movement by people with disabilities. I always say, let's not be about it. I gotta get this right. I always say, let's not talk about it, let's be about it. And today, we are all about it, making one step forward. This is just the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to end and recite a poem that I wrote, and I'd like to dedicate it to all LBUSD students tonight. I would like to begin by saying, let not your disability define who you are. Only you, as an individual, can define who you are. Believe it or not, that was not the case for me so long ago. But if my younger self knew what I knew now, this is what I would say to young Dika. Young Dika, you are going to go through some things. You are going to see some things. You are going to feel some things. You are going to hear some things. Some people are going to tell you some real things. Young Dika, no matter how hard it gets, people are calling your name, going to call you names and make you feel less than. Hold your head up high. Trust me, I've been there. Take it one day, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time. Young Dika, you don't see it now, but the tears will slowly fade away. Young Dika, the bitterness will subside. Young Dika, you will become the respected voice. You will be heard and bring about change for those that felt their silence once was the answer. Their voice was not important, and it would never matter. Young Dika, so I say to you, don't worry. You will persevere through adversity and personal insecurities. You will live and tell your story as I'm doing today. And know this, young Dika, people are watching you from a near and afar as you will walk in your ordained purpose and prevail. Young Dika, you will rise and be proud of who you will become. Change agent on a mission to rise each and every day. So to all our young students, learn your history so that you can leave your own mark on history as I have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dika.
Thank you so much, Ms. McLean. Next we have Jennifer Kumiyama.
Hi, Jennifer. Are we going to bring a mic to Jennifer? Okay.
Good evening, honorable school board members. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Jennifer Kumiyama. I'm currently the chair of the Citizens Advisory Commission on Disability for the City of Long Beach, and I'm a local activist in my community. I was born with a disability called arthrogryposis and was given a life expectancy of 2 years. Fortunately for me, I live longer than that. I'm 41 today. I went to Carver Elementary and Tucker Elementary as well. And since my birth, not just that limitation, but others have been thrust upon me. The importance of Disability History Week is a lot larger than some of us may realize. I remember in my public school years, I didn't see anyone like me in the classroom. I was fully mainstreamed. And I didn't see anyone like me in the history books except for FDR. And as you can tell, I'm a woman of color, and I'm not like FDR. I am also sometimes embarrassed to share this, but as a person with a disability, I didn't learn about disability history pivotal moments until I was about in my mid-20s. Students in Long Beach Unified School District deserve to see themselves in every aspect of their education, on the playground, in our classroom, in their teachers, in their school counselors, principals, and so on. This also includes our history books. Did you know that the Gang of 19 was the beginning of the disability rights movement, where 19 people in Denver, Colorado got out of their wheelchairs and laid in front of public transit buses to fight for equal access to public transportation? Did you know about Capitol Crawl, where eight-year-old Jennifer Keelan and hundreds of other people with disabilities abandoned their mobility devices at the steps of the Capitol and crawled on hand and foot just to speak to their legislators? It is moments like these that prove that disability history is definitely a part of the fabric of American history. It brings me so much joy, especially as a former Long Beach Unified School District student, to be here today to celebrate this resolution. And I thank you so much for recognizing the importance of teaching disability history in our classrooms, because you're shaping the minds of our future doctors, architects, city servants, public servants, teachers, bus drivers, so on and so forth. Thank you so much, and it is an honor to be here today.
Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer, did I hear correctly that it's your birthday today? No. Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought that too.
I was going to ask Mr. Miller, who's a self-proclaimed singer, to lead us in a happy birthday song.
I'll pass, but thank you for the offer.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. We have two members of our board, our Special Education Community Advisory Committee board. So I'd first like to ask Ms. Juliana Martinez to come up.
Hola, Juliana.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Juliana Martínez, miembro del CAC. Tengo 3 estudiantes en el distrito de Long Beach, 2 de ellos en educación especial, 1 en educación general. Esta noche me gustaría dar unas recomendaciones a los a los de la mesa directiva, a las escuelas, a toda nuestra comunidad.
Good afternoon. My name is Juliana Martinez. I am a member of the CAC, and I have 3 children. 2 of them are in special ed, and 1 of them is in general ed. And I would like to make some recommendations to everybody, to the board members, and also everybody at the schools and the community.
Pido que se oriente a los administradores, maestros, ayudantes, a los que sirven hasta la comida, a todo el personal de cada escuela, ya que nuestros hijos con necesidades especiales merecen respeto y dignidad.
I am asking that you guys give orientation to administrators, to our teachers, to our personnel, even the people that are serving the food, all personnel at schools, secretaries, because I feel that our children deserve respect and also dignity.
También pido a todos los miembros administradores de cada escuela participen más en nuestra junta del CAC, ya que de esa manera podemos tener una comunicación amplia a nuestros padres.
I am also recommending that all the school administrators participate more in our CAC. That way we could go ahead and have a better communication with the teachers and parents.
Por último, este es el sueño de mi hijo o de un estudiante del grado 6 de la Escuela Washington. Él asiste a educación general, que algún día todos los estudiantes de educación especial y educación general, pero todo debido que tienen que ser respetados con sus respectivos servicios y que en cada salón de cada escuela se habla de la discapacidad con un mensaje positivo y todos los estudiantes merecen una educación, respeto, amor. Gracias.
Finally, it's one of my child's dream, the one that's in general education, that one day all the students are treated equally and that there's no more separations with the students and the students with special ed with their services that they need. That every student, that every classroom in the schools talk about disabilities with respect and also with the positive messages. All the students deserve education, respect, and love. Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias, Juliana.
Thank you so much. And finally, Ms. Magda, I'd like to invite you to the podium to end our comment of those who are present with us this evening. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for this, and thank you for everybody working. As a mother of a child with autism, as a member of the CAC, I deeply appreciate the resolution of the board towards real inclusion. I am hopeful. We are not there yet, but we are on the right path. Having kids with disabilities sharing the same classroom as non-disabled kids does not guarantee they will have the same experience if they continue to be isolated in the playground or in the cafeteria, which happens a lot. Teaching about the value of people with disabilities to every single kid and member of the district is an important step. I plan on teaching my kid about the contributions of great people with disabilities in science, politics, or the art world. But I want every other kid in the same classroom to learn about it so they can really value these kids as the potentials that they have. I want my kid to be really invited into the playground and into the games, because obviously that's to be appreciated in friendship, not just there in the classroom. I envision that as the same as if a classmate comes from a different country and speaks a different language. They can still be your friend. They have activities that you can do with each other, even if you don't fully understand each other and has a different culture and eats a different food and does things in a different way. I think every kid has in them, if we nurture that ability for them to really accept the kids with disabilities that are in the classroom to the point that they don't see those disabilities anymore. I want those disabilities to become invisible, and that comes from really educating our kids into the value and contributions of people with disabilities. The kids disabled will learn to be proud of themselves and others like them. The ones that are not disabled will learn to see them as valued and really appreciate them in friendship. So that's the main thing that I want to point out, and I really appreciate the work of all of you, because you are changing the world that my kid will grow into, and you're changing it for my kids. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Magda.
Thank you so much. And finally, we have a brief video from some local leaders who wanted to speak on behalf of the resolution that is coming to you this evening, and then we'll close with students sharing that resolution.
Good evening. My name is Udawak Jowintuk. I'm a member of the Long Beach Community College Board of Trustees, and this year it's my honor to serve as president of the board. I'm a father, husband, and public servant here in Long Beach, and a proud product of our Long Beach education system. Myself, having attended Long Beach Unified Schools, graduated from both Long Beach City College and Cal State University Long Beach, and have been a parent in the district for nearly 20 years. Long Beach City College is the equity epicenter for higher education in our area. We have a 100% acceptance rates of students. We're always evolving to break down barriers, bridge the digital divide, provide extra student support services, and update our ADA compliance as part of our goal of providing equitable opportunities for all of our students. It's a continuous effort, but at the forefront of our work is ensuring the inclusion of students of all abilities and backgrounds. My fellow board members and I join you in the celebration of Disability History Week, We are inspired and honored to support the Long Beach Unified Resolution in spreading the message of inclusion and access. We commit to carry on your example along to our campus community by introducing a similar resolution at our next board meeting. Thank you for the opportunity to share this message with you tonight, and thank you for your leadership on building on our partnership to serve more students.
Hello, my name is Dr. Mike Munoz, the Interim Superintendent President of Long Beach City College. First off, I want to acknowledge and thank the leadership and good work of Board President Dr. Benitez and Superintendent Dr. Baker for leading the way with this resolution to recognize Disability History Week. It's our responsibility as leaders to take bold steps like these with intentionality. LBCC is proud to support this important resolution. And when our Long Beach College Promise partner puts forth actions like this, it's vital for LBCC to do the same. For the past decade, we've created a pipeline between LBUSD and LBCC through the College Promise. So it's only the right thing to do to ensure that when LBUSD creates a space of inclusivity and visibility for students with disabilities, that it carries on to LBCC. Inclusion and equity are on my mind all of the time. Whether it pertains to our students' culture, their racial identities, their unique abilities, or challenges, it's been my passion for a very long time to remove any barriers our students may face. It's important for all our students to feel welcome and validated. It's important for students to see themselves in the curriculum. Real harm is done to our students when we are not inclusive. We are proud to support LBUSD in spreading the message of inclusion, and LBCC commits to carrying the example along for our Long Beach College Promise students. We are inspired by this resolution, and we plan to follow suit at our next Board of Trustees meeting in October. Thank you for the opportunity to share this message with all of you today.
Hello, Dr. Benitez and board members. I am sorry that I am not able to be there in person with my fellow advocates in support of resolution to have a Disability History Week in October for Long Beach students. My name is Kimball. I am one of the Commissioner on Disability for the city. As someone with a disability and as someone who has worked students with disabilities in the community, I am very much in support of the Disability History Week. This past August, Duca and I organized our first Teens with Disabilities Advocacy Camp at my work. We just focused about history of disabilities movement. I can tell you students with disabilities want to know the history of the movement. This is very important to teach the children learn about history of the independent movement and cultures of people with disabilities, so when they see their friends with disabilities, they can understand why it is important to have their friend in their classroom. People with disabilities have to struggle just like other people in history. I had the same opportunities when I was in high school. My high school has a disability awareness weeks for the freshman students. I can tell you it made a difference. There were less bullying between students with disabilities and the other students. Again, I support this resolution to have a week about disability history. Thank you for everyone who were involved.
Hello, Honorable Long Beach Unified School District Board members. My name is Mary Zendejas, Councilwoman for the 1st District here in our city of Long Beach. I'm speaking to you in support of Disability History Week in our Long Beach schools. I think that it is very important to highlight and really address and uplift the heroes and the advocates that brought us to where we are today in disability history. We also must continue supporting and uplifting the advocates that continue to fight the fight for all students with disabilities. Growing up, I had to be bussed out of my community because the schools that were around me were not wheelchair accessible. Students would be curious on why I was in a wheelchair and how they could approach me, or should they not? They were confused. So it's very important that we educate our students. And it's very important that they know the importance of inclusion. And I think that by having a Disability History Week in our Long Beach schools, we can accomplish that and much more. Thank you for your time.
So it was just brought to my attention that we have another very special guest with us here in person today. Dolores Nason from our Disabilities Resource Center. Would you like to share a few comments or words, Dolores?
Well, almost everything I wanted to say has already been said. So I just want to say what an honor it is to be before the teachers and educators that educated me all the way from grade school through high school. I went to Burnett Elementary School, Franklin Junior High, and Wilson High School. And like Cindy, when I was at Burnett, there was a bungalow on our playground where all these students that had disabilities were. They weren't in our classrooms, they weren't in the cafeteria where we ate, and they weren't on the playgrounds. The only time we saw them is when we were on the playground at the far end. Their teacher would march them across the playground going somewhere. And we were all very curious. And that's why this is so important that the students understand. You know, 11 years ago, we already talked about this. The state of California designated the second week of October as Disability History Week. So we've got a lot of catching up to do. I mean, this was 11 years ago. So please consider this resolution for the city of Long Beach, for our students, so that young people can grow up remembering and understanding what it means to have a disability and how hard their fellow students with disabilities and their families had to fight to be in the classrooms and treated fairly with the same rights as the rest of them. I thank you. Like I said, I'm president, or I'm outgoing chair of the Access Board of Directors for Los Angeles County, and I'm a chair of the Long Beach Paratransit Committee, and I'm most proud that I'm the executive director of Disabled Resources Center in Long Beach. And we just feel this is so important. If we can help you in any way, anytime, please contact me, okay? We're all for this.
Thank you, Dolores, and thank you for joining us here today, too.
My pleasure. My honor.
Whereas on August 9, 2010, the California legislature designated the second week of October as Disability History Week in California. And whereas Disability History Week recognizes the important contributions people with disabilities have made throughout the history of the United States, and as a part of this, also recognize the important legislative accomplishments that the disability rights movement, led by disability advocates and parents with children with disabilities in communities across the United States, achieved, such as, but not limited to, the passage of Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act. Section 504, which banned discrimination on the basis of disability by recipients of federal funds, modeled after previous laws which banned race, ethnic origin, and sex-based discrimination by federal fund recipients. The passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1990, a civil rights law prohibiting discrimination solely on the basis of disability in employment, public services, and accommodations. The authorization of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act by Congress in 1990, a law making available a free, appropriate public education to eligible children with disabilities throughout the nation and ensuring special education and related services to those children. And now let's hear from some of our students who will read the remaining portions of the resolution.
People with disabilities and their contributions to the fabric of our society. In order to blend included United States history and school curriculum of victims and ableism, your systems and institutions.
In 2019, Long Beach Unified School District passed a resolution on inclusive practices to create schools that are inclusive of all students and the diversity of needs that exist in our region, giving particular focus to the inclusive of students with disabilities.
LBUSD strongly believes in the importance of students with and without disabilities deepening their understanding about disabilities history and strengthening in their cultural competence, understanding and acceptance of people with disabilities and the important contributions people with disabilities had and continue to have in our society.
Disability History Week allows all students to know where they've been and the endless possibilities and of where they can go, while developing a sense of pride in themselves and their disabilities and become more civically engaged in their communities.
LBUSD does hereby support Disability History Week and encourages all staff, students, parents, families, and community members to spread messages of acceptance and inclusion and integrates disabilities curriculum into our classrooms for all LBUSD students as we honor and celebrate the accomplishment and stories of people with disabilities by lifting up and centering our students with disabilities.
Dr. Brown, I'm not crying. We have a proclamation that Mayor Garcia is presenting. I'll hold it up for the cameras here. In addition to outlining our resolution, I'm going to read the last paragraph here. Therefore, now be it resolved, I, Mayor Robert Garcia, on behalf of the people of the City of Long Beach, do hereby proclaim Disability History Week during the second week of October and encourage all staff, students, parents, families, and community members to spread messages of acceptance, inclusion, and integrate disability curriculum into our schools and classrooms for all LBUSD students as we honor and celebrate the accomplishments and stories. Sorry, y'all, I got tears here in my... and celebrate the accomplishments and stories of people with disabilities by lifting up and centering our students with disabilities. Thank you to Mayor Garcia for the proclamation. And thank you to our community champions and to the long history and legacy of community champions and community advocates. We are here because of you, your efforts, and all of those that preceded us. So thank you for your work on this, and thank you, Dr. Brown, for helping to shepherd this forward. Whew. We know that our community champions here have busy lives, so you know, you're more than welcome to stay with us, but we understand if you'd like to go home and continue working and continue advocating on behalf of communities. Sorry, Dr. Brown? I was gonna give everyone a chance. I was just gonna say, you know, I'm gonna offer an opportunity for our board to speak and for our executive staffs to speak, but because I'm not gonna say anything anymore, you're more than welcome after this item. We're not voting on it right now. It's up for consideration under new business, but absolutely, I'd love to hear from colleagues and any other executive staff here.
Yes, thank you so much for being with us. And thank you to the advocates for continually calling us to be better. Cindy, it is a delight to meet you in person. I remember our Zoom back in February, and I was sold after the first 30 seconds. And you asked, did you need to come or petition or write? And I said it was my guess that my colleagues in this district would welcome this with open arms, and we're grateful for you to bring it to us. And I took it to Dr. Baker a couple weeks later. Thank you for your persistence and your continued support of us learning and being better. I was just with Councilwoman Zendejas last night and asking her if she was gonna make it, and she told me that she did a video, but she spoke very specifically both of Kumi and Cindy of how much of an inspiration you were to her story, and that she sits as a councilwoman today, Cindy, because of your mentorship and inspiration, and Kumi for your example to go outside what's comfortable, to explore who you could be. So I just wanted to share that she gave you two very specific shout outs last night. So for your continued work, for Nubia and our parent leaders who continue to call us in and bring us into community in new ways with your students and families, thank you. I am so grateful to be here and to be able to vote on this tonight. We know it's in front of us tonight. It should have been in front of us before, but because of you, we get to celebrate in a really wonderful way.
Board Member Miller.
So I'm the new guy, but one of the things that I have continuously and unapologetically been on the forefront for is our diversity, equity, and inclusion work. When we talk about the inclusion component in particular, often people look at that from a frame of your sexual orientation or the color of your skin, and often forget about the privilege that you're given with ableism as well. So to be part of this resolution is probably, I know that I'm still very early into this, one of the proudest things that I'm thus far. I was very much moved by your speeches and all of the great work that you all have done thus far. And my new friend that I haven't even got to fully meet yet, Dika, your spirit girl, oh my goodness. I started to cry when I heard your poem. So you gotta promise me to give me a copy of that thing before you get out of here, all right? I wanted to thank you all again. And this is one proud moment for sure.
Thank you. Any other board members?
Yes. Just very quickly, I want to say thank you very much for letting us be a part of this. And I feel honored to be a part of the board and this resolution at this time. And I think that's all. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd like to join in the celebration of Disability History Week that we really haven't celebrated before. I've done a lot of work with the Regional Center of Orange County and other regional centers, and so and have represented a number of people over the years with disabilities, and the courage, the intelligence, the heart that's brought to all of us by the people in the disabled community, and the voices that they're now raising are, as Juan demonstrated, very moving, and I'm glad to be a part of this. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Otto. Colleagues, shall we take a break at this moment, and we can take some pictures with our disability champions as well. Okay, everyone, thank you. We will continue here with the business at hand. We are on to our next item under staff report, board area redistricting. Ms. Yumi Hashi.
Good evening, board members, executive staff. I am very pleased to be joined tonight by Justin Rich of demographic research firm Cooperative Strategies, who will be helping to shepherd us through the redistricting process. So just as background, redistricting addresses geographic voting areas of board representation. And every 10 years after the census, districts are required to review the population data to determine if their voting areas are still within the allowable population variance, and required to make any necessary adjustments to the areas to ensure population balance. So for us, a new map would be in effect for the next election, which would be in June, on June 7th, 2022, which is the primary. We've all heard in the news that there have been significant issues related to the release of the census data. It is late. We would have received in a normal year census data in the April timeframe, but preliminary census data was just released on August 12th, and validated data will be released by September 20th. And so any data that we present to you this evening is very preliminary in nature, but it's just to get the conversation started with the board this evening. And we have a target date for approval of a new map of December 1st, 2021. That will give enough time for us to submit the map to the city of Long Beach. We are under the city charter, and they must approve the map and allow time to submit that map to the LA County Registrar of Voters, who are in charge of creating the precincts necessary to conduct the election. So we're presenting to you tonight a compact timeframe to complete the process, but it's a timeframe that includes multiple opportunities for board discussion, as well as discussion with the community and opportunities for community feedback. So we just really wanted to make a clarification on what redistricting is and what it is not. Redistricting is a process by which a school district ensures population balance for Board of Education voting areas. It is designed for elections, and redistricting is not, does not change school boundaries and school attendance areas. And so we'll continue to make that clarification for the public, because oftentimes it is confused with changing school attendance boundaries. So at this point, I will hand it over to Justin Rich, who will go review some preliminary data that was released. Justin.
Thank you, Yumi. It's nice to be with you all tonight. On the screen, we've included the current trustee area map for the district. And this is our starting point as your demographer and drawing maps for you all. What we'll do is we'll take the census blocks that comprise the district, and we're going to do our demographic analysis to see what is the population balance of those current areas. And we will also look at the demographic composition of all those areas and share that with you. And you'll expect that with each new map that we present, you'll have that same information, and we'll highlight things for you along the way. I just wanted to add on in terms of the data that's going to be released September 20th. What we're waiting for is validation by the Department of Finance. We'll have that shortly, and we'll be able to update the numbers that we're sharing with you tonight, although we don't expect them to be substantially different. I want to talk about the considerations that go into voting areas and drawing maps, and the information that's helpful for us to do our job. These considerations are really categorized in two ways. There's some things that we must do in order to comply with the law. And then there's other things that we should do and make sense in order to keep communities together and to provide for good representation. In that first category, what we have to do is population balance, and Yumi talked about that. And what that's taken to mean, that it must be roughly equal in population. And generally what that means for us is looking at the smallest and the largest area and comparing that to what the ideal size would be if we just divided 5 areas evenly across the population. And when we take that variance, it should be less than 10%. Additionally, in addition to that, we also need to draw these trustee areas to be compliant with the Federal Voting Rights Act. And what that means is that we're not dividing communities in such a way that it impairs the ability of a protected class to be able to elect the candidate of their choice. In this context, protected class means racial and language minority groups as defined by the Federal Voting Rights Act. We also want to keep areas as compact and contiguous as possible. People may bring to mind ideas of gerrymandering and things like that. That can be difficult, I will add, given that there's varying population densities across the district, and the district itself is not, a clean boundary, let's say. It follows the coastline. So to the extent we can do that, we certainly try. We want to respect communities of interest as much as possible. These are defined by California law as being those groups that have shared social and economic characteristics. These are the types of communities that, perhaps may not show up in census data, but you being local and living in the community can share with us. What are some of those unique communities and neighborhoods and such? Oftentimes those boundaries can be, those communities can be bounded by natural or man-made geographic features. So that's also a logical place for us to look for when we're drawing trustee areas. We may not favor or discriminate based on political party, so that's an important consideration going into this. And then other local considerations as well that might be relevant to the mission of the district and whether we're looking at where students attend or school facilities themselves. Those are all valid things to consider, and many of our clients do that. So when we draw maps, we will be drawing on our past experience of working with other districts, past demographic studies that we've prepared for you all, looking at the neighborhood maps that provided by the City of Long Beach, and that's helpful background for us, and also getting input from staff. We're also going to augment those efforts so that we really have a good understanding of your community with community input surveys, just to make sure that we're really thinking through each map and how those lines are drawn. So what I want to share with you is, as mentioned previously, this is the preliminary data released by the census. And I'm going to highlight a few things here. What it tells us is that the district grew by about 5,500 in terms of total population. So that's everybody, not just voters, not just students. This is everybody that lives within the district. And that's important to note as well, because as I talked about on the previous slide, when we look at balancing populations, it's based on total population. And that 5,500 growth represents about 1.1%. What we saw is that there were some population shifts. There was growth in districts 1, 4, and 5, and there was declines in districts 2 and 3. When we look at this, again, we will get new data here within the next week, we expect. With this data, we see that the ideal size is about 103,000 for each district. And what we also see is the population variance currently is about 14.6%. So that would put us outside of those boundaries or that safe harbor. So I think an important question tonight as we begin the process, again, we don't live in your community the same way that you do. And it's helpful for us as demographers so that we can take this information, incorporate that into our data analysis and how we look at things, and really support that with information from you all, information from the community input surveys. And a couple of key questions I think are, what would you like to see maintained, or what do you like about the current maps that we should take back and consider when we're drawing maps? And then what would you like to see improved? And I think that'll be a theme throughout this process for us to be able to understand what's good about the maps that we're putting in front of you and what could be changed. And that's how we will approach it. I'll turn it back over to Yumi.
So again, in terms of the time frame, it's a compressed time frame, but we believe it provides ample opportunity for board discussion as well as community input. And we will get into a rhythm of discussing redistricting at our upcoming board meetings. So tonight is, of course, the introduction to redistricting. This month, and actually today, we've deployed a web page, a redistricting web page that will reside on the home page, but we'll show the path to get to the web page through our website. We're also deploying the community of interest survey tonight, and that can be accessed through the web page as well. The web page will contain all information related to redistricting, an FAQ, the survey, as well as any presentations that we make here to the board. October 6th, we will come back to discuss further the census data, discuss further any community survey feedback that we receive, as well as a board discussion on the criteria. So what would you like to see maintained in a new map? What would you like to see improved in a new map? October 20th, we'll be back with a presentation of draft maps. October 20th, as well as potentially November 3rd, if needed. And in the month of November, we'd like to conduct community meetings to gather community input on the draft maps as well. And then coming to you with a recommendation on December 1st for approval of a map. So again, we've launched the web page. That's the path to the web page. But it will also can be accessed through the district's homepage. The community of service interest survey will also be on the webpage, and then the community meetings in November. And that is the path to the redistricting website as well. So at this point, we can entertain any questions or any feedback that you'd like to provide to us.
Thank you, Yumi, and thank you to Collaborative Strategies. Any questions or comments?
I have a quick question. Did you say that the web page is currently up or will be up?
It is live.
It is live. Thank you.
Yes.
So for Mr. Rich, you've done work in Long Beach before. You've done work for the school district before?
We have. We've helped the district with your developer impact, your developer fee calculation for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
As part of that, we have to track all new residential development that's happening within the district. And there's other things as well that we consider that go into the calculation of the commercial and industrial fees as well that really focus on your demographics.
Okay. And have you done Long Beach Unified School District work before? I mean, that last one was 10 years ago, I think, but.
We did not do your trustee areas last time.
Got it. Okay, great. And, you know, I've heard concerns about the accuracy of the census data because of the way in which it was collected. And now we know that we're getting it late. Are there concerns about the accuracy of the data? And you know, the reports that I hear are maybe there were groups that were undercounted, and are there ways to figure out whether that's true? Do you do projections or sampling, or I don't know?
I think that's a valid concern given the circumstances that were going on at that time. It's April 1st, 2020 is the date of that census. Now, in other places, there were population shifts that resulted from kids being in college, you know, Cal State Long Beach. Perhaps there was kids that would ordinarily have been counted here, but they were learning remotely. So there's a bunch of different things that certainly factored into it. We're required to use census data, and that has to be the basis based on total population, you know, in accordance with the law.
Mm-hmm. And typically, if you know, how long do you usually have to do an assignment like this? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 9 months? And
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it varies from district to district. Certainly there are, I think a main driver of that is the amount of community input that is, goes into that process. I'll note that many of the processes that are going on right now are not redistricting. These are districts that are transitioning for the first time. It's laid out in statute how those are approached and how many public hearings. Those tend to be a little bit longer because there's more input that is
new stuff.
Yeah.
I think we can get this done. I think it's a very short time frame because usually people warm up to these things in terms of providing the community input. It takes a while to get people moving and involved. And if we basically start in the middle of September, and then the city of Long Beach needs to approve this because under the charter, that's what happens in December. Actually, what happens after that? Once the city of Long Beach approves, when does it finish off and
it goes to the LA County Registrar of Voters, who will create the precincts for the election, and in time for the candidate nomination period.
Yeah.
As well.
Okay.
So it goes directly to the county.
And I don't know what there is an election. I mean, when's the next school board election in Long Beach?
June 7th, 2022.
Okay. And if there's a runoff, it's in November?
November.
Okay. So
yes.
That's okay.
So this is in preparation for June 7th.
Pardon?
This is in preparation for June 7th.
Yeah, okay, good. So they've changed the way they did the last election, which meant that they elected people in March, and if there was a runoff, the runoff was in November, but that's been changed?
Yes, the primary will be held in June.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Ms. Kerr?
Yeah, so this is the culmination of why we were so insistent on people filling out the census a year ago and really wanting our communities to be counted, all of them, and not undercounted. So just for clarification, Mr. Otto talked a lot about it. There will be opportunity for public engagement. I know that the city is currently accepting public comment around their process, so hopefully that means that the community is primed to think about it, and now we just need them to focus on schools. So I hope we can kind of tap into the energy and momentum that they have built around public comment. But I appreciate a clear timeline. There's not a lot of time to even argue about the timeline. So thank you for laying that out clearly. We know we have a hard stop, so we can't procrastinate. So I appreciate the opportunities for public engagement in November, but as we know, starting now, apparently, there is access on the website for folks to start to have their voice heard. So thank you for that.
Mr. Miller?
So just learning a little bit more about the redistricting process, and my only question has been around the synchronicity around some of the other redistricting processes in regards to the city, in regards to City College. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so we've been in communication with the city and talking about how we coordinate efforts and really looking at the community of interest surveys and the feedback that we're getting to connect the feedback that we're getting. So from our side and from the city side as well, in order to bolster both efforts. So really looking at what the community is saying and potentially apply that to our own redistricting effort. The city, the Long Beach Community College, they are on a different time frame, so they are looking to approve maps at the end of February. And so they have not, the machine is not in full earnest at this point, but we have been in communication with them, and we'll meet with them to see how we can connect our efforts as well.
Yeah, related to that, Yumi, so I didn't realize the city wasn't getting their maps in until February. I guess this is a question for collaborative strategies. Given that our LBUSD district seats overlap with some, not other, city council seats, in some cases, 3 or 4 city council seats. How do we sort of reconcile and mitigate that we're not going to have city maps if one of our, one of the aspects of our approach is to keep communities together?
Yeah. Allow me to clarify.
Yes.
So the city of Long Beach's process will be done in the same time frame as ours.
Okay, got it.
It's that's the community college.
Got it.
That will be on a later time frame.
Got it.
Yes.
Right. And then my only other question is regarding the community input that board members Otto and Kerr already referred to. Are these Brown Act meetings, Brent, or is the community input ongoing different process?
So the community input meetings,
Yes.
unless it is, okay. The community input at your board meetings, of course, will be subject to the Brown Act. But your other methods that I've heard about you soliciting for community input would not necessarily be subject to the Brown Act. We, of course, will, however, want to advertise it and agendize it, do everything that we would ordinarily do. But would the Brown Act technically apply to those? Not the way that I've heard those described, no.
Okay.
Have I answered your question?
It absolutely did. And my concern is the short turnaround time, right? That if we're limiting, I shouldn't use that word, that the timeline constrains the amounts of input and meetings that we're going to have, just trying to be creative in what we can do in the next couple of months.
And just to be, so people understand, it's not Long Beach. In my district, I have the entire city of Signal Hill, and I have the entire island of Catalina. And so, needless to say, there are different precincts. And so those kinds of things have to be taken into consideration.
So I am assuming you talked about, we'll talk about this ongoing, so will this be an ongoing agenda item on every board meeting moving forward? As an
Yes,
information?
yes,
Okay.
essentially.
Thank you. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of questions from us in the next couple meetings. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to our business items. Let's start off with our certificated personnel report.
All right. So I present the following proposed actions prepared by the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resource Services, approved and recommended by the superintendent. First, we'll talk about certificated personnel. Appointments, 130. In-service changes, 57. Leaves of absence, 7. Separations or deceased, 1. Resignations, 4. Retirements, 6. And amendments, 1.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Let's take a roll call vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Classified personnel report.
All right. Rerun. I present the following proposed actions prepared by the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resource Services, approved and recommended by the superintendent. Classified and exempt personnel are as follows. Appointments, 48. Leaves of absence, 28. Resignations, 46. Retirements, 10. And amendments, 1.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion?
Do we have any information about whether those numbers are within some range that we expect at this time every year? David?
So most of the numbers are numbers that we would expect. The only number that's slightly higher under classified is resignations at 46. And in reviewing our notes, there are a variety of reasons. Some of those include personal, some of those include changing profession, some of those include family responsibilities. So that's the mix. But that's the only number that's slightly higher than what we're normally used to seeing in September.
That's what caught my attention, so thank you.
And
Further discussion?
Yeah, if I could just co-sign on that. Oddly, that's a common theme nationally in regards to a high number of resignations. So.
Any other discussion? Okay, take a roll call vote. Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that also passes 5-0. Instruction report.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Finance report A.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? Call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Finance report B.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I recuse myself from Finance Report B on the consent calendar. I have a potential financial interest under Government Code 1091 and 87100. My husband works for a subcontractor who has done work for the payees.
Any further discussion? I'll call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 4-0 with 1 abstention. Business Department report.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Purchasing and Contracts Report A.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Purchasing and Contracts Report B.
Move
Need a motion?
approval.
Yep. Can I get a second? Was that you, Mr. Miller?
That was.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I recuse myself from Purchasing and Contract Report B on the consent calendar. I have a potential financial interest under Government Code 1091 and 87100. My husband works for a subcontractor who has done work for the awardees.
Any further discussion? I'll call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I vote aye, so that passes 4-0 with 1 abstention. Other items, Superintendent Items. Student readmit.
Thank you, Dr. Benitez. Starting with a student readmission. Members of the board, I am pleased to recommend that the following student's expulsion be lifted and that the student is assigned to a school or instructional program as recommended by the Office of Student Placement Services. This is student 9610. Prior to being considered for possible readmission, the student was required to successfully complete a specific program of rehabilitation designed to prevent further misconduct and to promote academic success.
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. And I need discussion. I'll call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Student discipline.
Mr. President and members of the board, as a representative from Student Placement Services, I'm recommending expulsion of the following student, student number 3756. The student listed by number would be expelled under Education Codes 48900B and would not be eligible to reapply for readmission until after January 28th, 2022.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Administrative assignments.
Unfortunately, I have one additional expulsion, making a recommendation
Yeah,
that
sorry.
student number 3159 is expelled under Education Codes 48915C1 and would not be eligible to apply for readmission because of the senior status of this student.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. Apologies for that, Dr.
That's
Baker.
okay. I do
now
have
we-
two administrative assignments tonight to make recommendations for. In the Early Learning and Elementary Schools Division, recommending Dulnari Edarasange Aga from administrative assistant in the Early Learning and Elementary Schools office to acting principal at Bixby Elementary School. And secondly, at the high school level, Taiwan Harris, a teacher on special assignment in the Office of Curriculum, Instruction, and Professional Development, recommended to assistant principal at McBride High School.
Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Unfinished business, we have none.
Dr. Benitez?
Yes.
May I return to the first expulsion? I need to read an additional part because this is actually a suspended expulsion and I didn't complete what I need to recommend.
Okay, so do we need to make a new motion and take new
Yes,
action? Okay.
please do. So let me reread the recommendations. I'm recommending the expulsion of the following student, 3756. The student would be expelled under Education 48900B and would not be eligible for readmission until January 28, 2020. However, Student Placement Services has made the recommendation that the student be expelled with a consideration for a suspended expulsion with an opportunity to attend Marshall Academy of the Arts within LBUSD.
So we need a new motion with the new recommendation for expulsion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, let's take a vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that expulsion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Let's move on to new business, and we have our school opening memorandum of understanding related to COVID-19. Dr. Baker, you want to say?
Sure. Just to reflect that this memorandum of understanding represents a formal collaboration with our Teachers Association with both of our negotiation teams. And in essence, it codifies agreements in multiple areas, including health and safety, our new independent study program, and some general agreements relating to the opening of school this year and the functioning of school this year.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. We need a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
I had a kind of a quick question on, there's a part about having a moratorium on volunteers, and would that be just in the classrooms, or is that school campuses?
We'd be looking, Board Member Craighead, it's across the board at this stage. However, we are looking at some exceptions that we're currently working with TALB, because we do know that we do have some volunteers that come in to support some of our academic programs. So that's still currently in the works with, and we'll be meeting with TALB on Friday to discuss that further.
I'm also wondering if volunteer organizations have the ability to gather on school campuses currently, or
I would have to
conduct
refer to
like-
the business department because I didn't discuss that in part of our negotiations.
Oh, okay.
Just in response to your question, Ms. Craighead, we certainly recognize the partnership that we have all over the community. One of the pieces of guidance from the California Department of Public Health that we're really working to adhere to right now is that we don't have adults on campus who are not required to be there when students are present. So that's one of the reasons behind the statement that we've made around volunteers, and that would extend to volunteer organizations unless they're providing service to students that we have an operational agreement for. And we look forward to moving away from that when we're in a better health circumstance.
Me too.
Any further discussion?
Just a quick question about the independent study. It seems to me I read almost on a daily basis that there's stuff going on and that there were trailer bills that just passed. Does that affect what we did?
So there fortunately have been some revisions to independent study to the opportunities that we have in our independent study program. Specific to this MOU, this really just defines transfer and reassignment, class size, and then hours. for certificated staff, all of whom are employees with the school district working in the independent study program. But yes, there's more to come on independent study in the future.
I'll stay tuned.
And Board Member Otto, just to reiterate what Dr. Baker said, but in addition to that, we tried to make this MOU to be as flexible as possible because we know the constant change. And we've actually even built in provisions to be able to meet with TALB in the event that we have significant changes coming up. And that's part of our meeting on Fridays to address some of the new regulations coming down in regards to some of our programs.
Great, thank you.
Any other discussion? Steve, quick question just on the dates. So as it's listed here, it reads addendum to the MOU dated August 27, 2021. Is this an addendum or is the MOU the August one?
This is actually a brand new MOU.
Okay.
So it piggybacked on some of the things we already had in place, but we also recognize that we're in a different space than when we developed our very first and then did the addendums over the summer the previous year.
Got it. Thank you for the clarification, Steve. Okay. Any further discussion? I'll call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Thank you, Steve. 2022-23 and 2023-24 traditional academic calendars.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? So this just basically sets our calendars for the next 2 years. I'll call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Resolution 091421-B, Disability History Week, to which we just had a presentation.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes unanimously, 5-0. Thank you, colleagues. Board Policy 5141.52, Suicide Prevention.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion. Can we have Dr. Simon speak to this, Dr. Baker?
Thank you, Board President Dr. Benitez. Let me just say that there are some clear changes in the law and that are required due to the passage of AB 1767. The bill amends Assembly Bill 2246 to now include elementary age students, K through 6. And just so you know, previously suicide prevention training was only required for students in grades 7 through 12, and training only to counselors as well. Now everyone who works with students has a complete training on suicide prevention awareness, and if they are psychologists, counselors, social workers, nurses, or administrators, they also have to be trained on how to assess for students who may have suicidal ideations as well. So to ensure that all staff that interact with students are knowledgeable about the warning signs to look for, Student Support Services, Dr. Sosa Valderrama, collaborated with the Human Resources Department with Mr. David Zaid and his team to select a training module for staff to participate in. The module has been sent to all staff and is due to be completed by October 2021. By increasing staff's and students' awareness about the warning signs, we believe we will save lives. And over the course of the years, let me just express this as well, our team has done an amazing job of training our staff members 3 or 4 times per year. We have changed our suicide referral forms in collaboration with the Department of Mental Health and many other mental health experts, just to ensure that our forms really encompass all the needs, all the points of discussion to ensure that our staff are making the appropriate call by means of calling our psychiatric mobile response team, our med team in collaboration with our Long Beach Police Department and many other agencies that we work with just to ensure that we are keeping our students safe. So it's something that we take very seriously in collaboration, even with PMRT. that we have at least twice a year, just to ensure that we're both on the same page around how to transport students, how to serve students, and how to speak to our parents and guardians and community members about suicide and the need for them to be informed as well. But for this bill, we will also have curriculum that would be for our K through 4, 5th through 6, and also 7 through 12, that will also encompass some social and emotional learning competencies in there as well. So again, clear changes, clear additions, and clear intentional work that we're doing around suicide.
Thank you for the additional information, Dr. Simon. And this is a pivotal time for us to provide support across our district, particularly during the pandemic, but also in the transition back to our opening up of this school year. So thank you for the details. Any additional discussion? I'll call the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that board policy is approved 5-0. Reappointment of a personnel commissioner. Ken, do you mind sharing some information?
Good evening. Good evening, President Benitez, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Baker, and members of executive staff. I'm here to introduce for your approval the renewal appointment of our Personnel Commissioner, Cheryl Bender. The Education Code tasks the Personnel Commission with classifying, testing, certifying, and employing over 3,000 non-teaching employees for the district. Our office is supervised by 3 Personnel Commissioners to provide us the oversight for all of our testing, classification, and certification actions. Ms. Bender has been an instrumental member of the Personnel Commission who has just completed her first full term of 3 years. She provided positive support and insight during her term as we have dealt with the challenges of trying to hire employees during a pandemic. This included implementing a comprehensive remote online testing system to replace both the written and interview examinations, endorsing staggered staffing schedules when they were available, and continuing to test and process candidates for district positions while observing the required COVID protocols. Ms. Bender's experience as a superintendent of personnel and training for the City of Long Beach Department of Parks, Recreation, and Marine provided helpful personnel insight through these difficult times. And she has remained vigilant about providing a fair and equitable process of hiring and promotion for all of our classified staff. Commissioner Bender just has a few words and can answer any of your questions.
Good evening, Dr. Benitez, and to the board, and to Dr. Baker. First, I would like to thank you for the opportunity I've had to serve as Personnel Commissioner for the past 3 years. It has been exceptionally enriching for me. I have experienced wonderfully collegial relationships with my fellow commissioners, as well as the unions with whom we collaborate. Working with Ken is fantastic. He is very, very knowledgeable, and he is very diligent about keeping us apprised of everything that's going on. And a particular point I really want to stress is I appreciate the Personnel Commission staff, because considering that I am a fellow public sector HR practitioner who operates in a civil service-led organization, and understanding what our processes look like, I am continually amazed at the speed and volume that our staff cranks out, bulletins, exams, eligibility lists, and everything that they do to try to make sure that we service the needs of the district. So the opportunity for the past 3 years has been a wonderful one, and I would thoroughly appreciate your consideration to have the opportunity for another 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bender. Thank you, Ken. Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's take a vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so congratulations, Ms. Bender. That item passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Looking
for your
forward-
service.
Next item is compensation for certificated substitute employees. Mr. Zaid, can you comment on this?
Sure. I'll ask our AV team to just support me by putting some additional information on the screen. This is a recommendation in an effort to stay competitive with surrounding school districts. During a potentially high absences, the following recommendation is being made to ensure substitute coverage. And so as we just transition to the next slide, there we go. As we transition to the next slide, you can see that this proposal is recommending that the daily rate, the hourly amount, change from $27.47 to $32. That would increase the half-day amount to $105 and the daily rate for 6 hours to $192. When we talk about staying competitive with other districts, I just want to share where Long Beach falls in comparison to just some of the surrounding districts. You'll see Hawthorne at the top. You'll also see Compton above us, and you'll also see Los Angeles. Hawthorne and Compton in particular changed their daily rate. Hawthorne changed theirs in April, and Compton changed theirs at the spring, as well as they were planning to reopen schools. We also know that we have substitutes who work for us and who also substitute for LA Unified. And so by making this adjustment to our daily rate, it allows us to be competitive. You can see that most of the districts changed their daily rate but did not change their long-term rate. And you can see our long-term rate is, our long-term substitute rate is $247, which is very competitive with our surrounding districts. And just to clarify, you receive a long-term rate after you sub in a position longer than 20 days. So on your 21st day, that's when you move to the long-term rate. Just to share some of the absences just last week, you can see that the light blue represents the positions that were filled, and the dark represents the positions that went unfilled, which means that the school site had to work with an alternative staff member or someone who was out of the classroom to provide that coverage on that particular day. When we talk about substitutes last year, just to paint the picture, we have approximately 1,300 subs, but that does not mean that all of our substitutes are active. And so last year, I just want to remind us that between the time of September and March, from September of 2020 to March of 2021, when most of our teachers were teaching from home, there were not very many substitute opportunities at all during that time. And so for almost a full year, we did not have a lot of subbing opportunities. And then when we reopened our schools in March and in April and in May, we had a tremendous time filling those positions, those absences on, in particular, Mondays and Fridays.
I wonder why.
This just gives you an idea of how many absences we're talking about in between May 3rd and June 11th. So again, I'm just sharing how many absences took place during that week, and you can see how many unfilled positions there were, or unfilled absences there were during that time. So again, a part of this recommendation is to ensure that we are competitive and providing coverage. Just to give a glimpse, we still have about 1,300 substitutes in our system. 20 this year are serving in long-term assignments. Someone might be in a long-term assignment when someone is out on a medical leave or maternity leave or a different type of leave. We have 20 serving as site support and roving to help out at some of our sites that needed some additional support. In addition, as we got started with our vaccinations and weekly testing, we had 533 respond, and so those are the substitutes that are actually active in our system subbing. Out of that, 88% were vaccinated, 11% chose weekly testing, and 1% had already received one dose and was working on their second dose. So again, this recommendation is being made to the board for your consideration. The recommendation is to increase the daily rate beginning October 1st of 2021. The current long-term substitute rate would remain the same, so this would only be the daily rate. And then also there is one more change. Long Beach Unified School District is very unique in the fact that for a long time we've only required you to sub 1 day in the year in order to remain active with us. And so this proposal changes that with the recommendation that each substitute, in order to remain active and not be separated, would have to sub each semester, so at least once every 90 days, as a way of ensuring and stimulating our substitutes to make sure that they are actively working in our system and subbing. So that is the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Zaid. Any questions, colleagues?
Good explanation.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Otto, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Thank you for the information, Mr. Zaid. We are on resolution number 091421-A, establishing appropriation limits for 2020, 2021, and 21-22. Yumi, do you want to walk us through this?
Sure. This is a requirement of Proposition 4 passed in 1979. The proposition establishes maximum appropriations for public agencies in order to curb growth in government spending. Every year we must do a calculation to determine whether we fall under the maximum appropriation limit, and this resolution up for your approval does indicate that we are below the limit.
So this is standard for our operations?
This is an annual resolution that we ask you to approve.
Do we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Take the vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Unaudited actuals financial reports.
Sure, I'll speak to that. We've closed the books for 2021, looking at final revenues and expenditures, and we find that the general fund unrestricted in a more positive position than previously estimated, with an increase of ending balance of approximately $26.5 million for a total ending balance of $318.8 million. This is very good news as the district continues to face enrollment decline, and this higher reserve also creates the opportunity to extend potentially some of our programs that are funded through the that support the Learning Acceleration and Support Plan that is funded through one-time dollars. So it creates a possibility of continuing funding of some of those programs.
That's great.
This report will be given over to our auditors for our audit report, and they'll issue that in the December timeframe. And we will come back with a new multi-year forecast when we look at our first interim expenditures and revenues.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Any questions? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you, Renee.
Where's Renee?
In the corner.
Oh, there you are. Yes. Thank you, Renee. Any other discussion? Let's take a vote. Mr. Otto?
Aye.
Ms. Craighead?
Aye.
Ms. Kerr?
Aye.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so that passes 5-0. Report of board members. Why don't you start us off, Ms. Craighead?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank all of our executive staff, our superintendent, our principals, our teachers, our custodial staff, our teacher librarians, everybody who has worked so hard to get the kids back to school as safely and carefully as possible. I know it's been a very heavy lift, so please know that we appreciate that. Please know that the kids appreciate all the effort. The parents appreciate all the effort. So thank you, everyone. And then also, I want to talk about an opportunity through the California PTA for a continuing education scholarship. The opportunity is to help school professionals and volunteers continue to learn and improve their skills. And so they are offering $500 scholarships for credentialed teachers, counselors, nurses, and PTA volunteers. You need to be a member of PTA, which is very easy. You can do that online. You can join at your neighborhood school. But the deadline is October 15th. And I know when you're continuing your education, every little bit helps. So $500, that could go towards books or other expenses. And that's my report.
Thank you, Ms. Craighead. Ms. Kerr?
Yeah, I just want to echo my colleagues' gratitude for everyone involved in getting students back to learning. And we know that there's so much going on when we talk about COVID and protocols. And we know that, as Dr. Baker says, the magic happens in the classroom, and how excited we are to really focus on teaching and learning. We know adults are having a hard time transitioning back into workplaces. We know kids are really working hard to get back into the groove of school because it feels different for the first time to be in this rhythm. And I know there's lots of adjustments still happening to the families and carers who are supporting kids. I know those first couple weeks of school when my kids were little, they would hold it together at school, and then they would come home and kind of fall apart because they were working so hard to hold it together. So we know that that's added intensity for families and caregivers. So thank you to all of you for supporting your student in getting back into the groove, as some of you get back into the groove of being at work in person for the first time. So we know there's a lot of transition still happening, and so I'm grateful for everyone's support. Continue to ask for grace and patience. We know that information is still really moving quickly and changing quickly, and folks are adjusting as best they can. So thank you to all of our school staff who are working hard, not only to keep kids safe, but to really welcome them back to their communities so that we can begin to focus on teaching and learning again. And I think that's it. I have an announcement later, though.
Thank you, Ms. Kerr. Mr. Otto?
Well, I don't want to sound like a stuck record, but I have marveled in the last 2 weeks at what has been accomplished by the school district. And I want to particularly signal the senior administrative staff. I know how hard you've worked. I know that a lot of it is after hours, and yet it's what was required to make this transition work. This is a district where the parents and the kids rely on the staff, including the senior staff, to get things done because they always have, and as far as I can tell, they always will. And it's made the transition from living in a pandemic to going back to school, which is what we've all wanted for so long, not effortless, but successful. And we've still got a ways to go. We've got to keep our shoulder to the wheel, but I am just so impressed with what we've done and how we've held it together. And I think that the community knows that, appreciates that, and I just see good things happening going forward. So thank you all, and appreciate this.
Thank you, Mr. Otto. Mr. Miller?
So I usually follow you and use the word ditto, but because I get to speak before you, I'm obviously going to piggyback on every I guess, pleasantry that's been said about the first day of school and about the reopening of our campuses here. I too was just, I was floored on that very first day, not only with the preparedness of all of the faculty involved, but also the support that we got from the community. It was really great to see parents be overjoyed at the reopening of the campuses. And then even at some of the campuses, we had fire and police who also participated in the reopening and celebration of bringing our young people back to school, as they too recognize the importance of it. I got an opportunity to visit a kindergarten classroom. And let me tell you, those little people, not only were they prepared, but you could see the eagerness of wanting to be in that environment around people and learning. It was just one of those moments that just fills your heart. It reminds you why we do the work.
And you got one?
Right. Oh, yep, she's on the way, right?
Yep.
I got to mentally prepare myself, right? So it was just a really, really great experience. And so I, too, wanted to just thank everybody for their hard work in regards to preparing not only for that day, but for a really good school year. I second wanted to talk about two other things. One, is the 9/11 recognition. 9/11 was a couple of days ago, and coincidentally, for me, 9/11 brings me back to my high school days, as I was a student who coincidentally didn't have a fancy phone that told me about what was going on, so I literally wasn't informed about the situation until I got to school and went into my English class, which was with Natter Twall. And I'll never forget his opening statement, and he was showing us on the TV. This moment is going to change all of your lives forever. And as we continue to learn more and more about what was going on in our country, I had a lot of people in my graduating class take that moment as an opportunity to enlist into the service as an act of bravery. And I, unfortunately, also have lost 3 different classmates in that same war. So I know 9/11 just passed, but for me, in some odd way, it still connects me to the Long Beach Unified School District. So I just felt that I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize 9/11 and its impact on our world, but more importantly, the acts of bravery by those young men and young women on that day, and those that took that as a call to action to protect our freedoms that we enjoy on a daily basis. And last but not least, and I feel like I've been doing this lately, maybe it's just the season, but I've been ending on a somber note, and it's following the passing of our great education champion and Mrs. Betty Carnett, Senator Betty Carnett. She was a good friend to me. I met her at my graduation from a program that I was in when I was a child, and we've carried that relationship on for 20 plus years. She was a District 2 resident, and she will be definitely missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Yeah, I was thinking about Betty last night at the event. So we're in the 3rd week of a new school year, everyone. I echo my colleagues' sentiments, but how about a big round of applause for our teachers, for our staff, for our executive team. With that, it hasn't been perfect, right? And all of our energies have been to get us going for this new school year. So I do want to share just a couple of brief thoughts to our community members, our parents, some students that have reached out to us with questions, with inquiries, with concerns. That it's not that we were ignoring you, it's that the entire team on the LBUSD side was making sure, doing everything humanly possible minute to minute, hour to hour, that we could open this school year. And here we are in week 3. So I want to share that our superintendent, our executive staff are working on also addressing some of the, quite frankly, information, misinformation, concerns, questions that have been raised to us. So just because we haven't had an opportunity to follow up to each and every email, to each and every phone call, we are tracking concerns on everything from our testing to protocols at schools to independent study. So there will be further communication, both internally to our staff, but also to our community members watching. So if you're frustrated about not hearing more about that tonight, we wanted to get into the 3rd week, right, of our school year. And many of the concerns and questions and issues that have been raised to us, I just want to acknowledge that we are reading the emails, we are listening to the voicemails, we are listening to public comment, and that there will be more clarity and information to come from our team now that we are in this new school year. So I just wanted to share that. And lastly, we have a couple of things still pending. And again, our goal was to open up schools. We have some governance work that is before us. So we will be implementing a community engagement plan, and we will be listening and engaging with our communities in guiding our efforts. We have an equity policy that we have plans for based on the recommendations that were made. We have other items, so don't think that we've forgotten about those, and I'm just naming a couple of those. So that's my report for tonight. Superintendent's report.
Can I make one other comment?
You need the mic, Mr. Otto.
Can I make a comment now with my mic on?
Sure, we're going to ask you to do it again with the mic on.
For what it's worth, and for whatever you believe, the polls just closed. And so we're going to have news either tomorrow or in 6 months. I can't tell which, depending on how things go. But that's another watershed moment for what California's been going through in the last 6 to 9 months. And so I just noticed the time, and here it is.
Thank you, Mr. Otto. And in that spirit, although that has huge impacts on our work, we're open for school tomorrow, right? Our work continues here. So, Dr. Baker, Superintendent's report.
Thank you. So let me start just by adding to the symphony of gratitude for all of our staff. What they have achieved to bring 68,000 plus students back onto campus has just been amazing. Office staff, nurses, custodial staff, and also just want to acknowledge central office team members. Many have been out substituting in positions like cafeteria supervisor and in classrooms and covering at school sites for folks that had to be out for one reason or another. And so it takes all of us, and everybody is, just want to acknowledge how much work has been done. Also, some joyful things. Lots of new teachers. So we've had the addition of several hundred new teachers. That brings a lot of energy and positivity to a school campus that results in the work with students being really powerful. We have student teachers on campuses again. And so again, just building in this the positivity around the profession of education. We have social workers and counselors, and I think what's been, in addition to just seeing students and kneeling down and looking right in their faces and asking them how they feel to be at school, what we have heard again and again is that it feels right for our students who are there to be on campus, and it feels supportive of them. The last couple of weeks, we've seen the activation of many aspects of the Learning Acceleration and Support Plan. We have staff guided by the high school office and Dr. Camerino's team, Student Success Initiative staff that are out across high schools, working to provide intervention and get students the supports that they need as they return to in-person instruction. We have literacy teachers in all of the elementary schools that are in classrooms, supporting classroom teachers with assessments and diagnostic information so that they can provide interventions. Wellness centers opened in all of our high schools with psychologists and social workers and counselors, depending on the school site. And so those interventions have been activated, and it's really powerful to see staff coming alongside teaching staff and also with their specific expertise in counseling or social work to support our students. And I'd just like to publicly thank State Superintendent Thurman, Mayor Garcia, and our county superintendent, Dr. Deborah Eduardo, who joined us both for visiting and experiencing the joy of the first day of school at Roosevelt Elementary, but also for a conversation and for asking you all as board members and our staff to talk about some of the challenges so that Superintendent Thurman could feel informed about what goes on in a school system. So he has been in multiple districts and made a real effort to be with us on the first day of school, which just uplifted education across the city. So just really appreciate that. As you shared, Dr. Benitez, there will be additional information as we end this third week of asymptomatic screening or testing. That data will be used to make decisions, and we anticipate next week being able to provide both staff members as well as community our plans for future testing. And that's my report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Baker. Any announcements, colleagues?
I have one. Yeah, so the Long Beach Green Schools campaign, formerly known as the Poly Green Schools campaign, is holding their climate rally this Saturday at MLK Park from 10 to 12. You can find them on all the social media and get information, but all it basically says is 10 to 12, MLK Park, and wear a mask. So we'd love to see all of you out there supporting the advocacy work that our students are doing around climate justice.
Any other announcements? Can we get a motion to adjourn?
Well, I don't have an announcement, but if we could adjourn in honor of the Millikan student who was killed. It's been a couple weeks now, but his name is Aiden Gossage, and if you've driven down the diagonal between Spring and Willow, you've seen a very large memorial. He was struck. He was in a crosswalk, and he was struck by a drunk driver. And there's been a large outpouring of support from the community and the neighborhood. Anyhow, he was a Millikan student, and I'd like to close in his honor tonight. So, in honor of Aiden Gossage.
Let's do that. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.